Later on, we highlight how Nigeria can advance its move to adopt more artificial intelligence tools. And it is the International Day for Childhood Cancer. We explore the challenges and struggles of these young patients and their caregivers. I am Ademola Lawrence, and this is live from Abuja, a show that takes you through the events that have shaped the week in Nigeria and across the world, from politics, news, entertainment, and sports. Now, all over the world, technological advancements and breakthroughs have increased exponentially, which has amplified the use of personal data and the associated risk of data breaches. Thus, data protection and privacy continue to gain global attention due to the compliance obligations and responsibilities that come with data processing activities. Increased efforts by various governments to ensure compliance with data protection laws across different jurisdictions and significant strides have been recorded by corporations to formulate and implement robust data protection compliance from frameworks for the processing of personal data within their possession. Protecting the privacy of personal data is the responsibility of every business. Therefore, all data controllers are expected to take appropriate actions towards creating a culture of privacy within their environment. Interesting conversation we'll be having this morning. And joining me is Oladipupo Eleyura, a legal practitioner, data protection practitioner, who joins me via Zoom to give a clearer perspective on how we can better protect our sensitive information in this age and era. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Oladipupo.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, good morning. So let's just go straight into it. A lot of people need to be educated about what data privacy is. I think let's start from that before we now go into the nitty-gritty of what the privacy should be all about.
All right. Getting directly into that. So data privacy essentially entails respect for the right to privacy of every individual. And that is in line with Section 37 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which guarantees the right to privacy of every Nigerian citizen. So what this principle of law says is that every business in the country must prioritize the safeguarding of the personal information in their care. That is, you have to be utmostly responsible when you're handling the personal data of your customers, of your clients, in order to prevent any unauthorized access, like hacking or even any form of misuse. So that's the nitty-gritty of data. That's the high-level definition of data protection.
Okay, there are always questions surrounding how to better protect our data, because there are a lot of us everywhere without details all over the place. And the question is that how can we better protect our data? Sometimes you put your data on the internet in terms of where you buy stuff, on the internet, and you find out at the end of the day, one way or the other, you get messages from all these companies on the internet. So how do we better protect our data?
Okay, I agree with you on everything everyone said on that. One of the things that has complicated data protection in recent years is that we have become digitally involved, unlike some years ago. So, like you said, people now share immense amount of information online because we now have a lot of digital services. Probably, be it when you are shopping on Jumia or you're shopping on AliExpress, or you are facilitating financial transactions on your banking and fintech applications, or even when you are browsing social media. Like you referenced, you could Google a product or a service on your Google Chrome, and in the next few minutes, you open your Instagram and are seeing unsolicited advert on that same product, which means somehow there is somebody watching you digitally. There's somebody monitoring your activities online. So in order to protect yourself, there are two different means to this. There's the responsibility of businesses and there's the responsibility of individuals. So to start with the responsibilities of the individuals. So even though the majority of the responsibility lies with businesses to protect personal data, but to a great extent too, individuals who have essential roles to play in safeguarding their personal data. And the first that comes to mind is you having a very strong password. So for every account you operate, whether it is shopping app, whether it is a bank app, you must have a very strong password that is very hard to compromise. And it will interest you that even in deep 2025, there are people who may use a ridiculous password like Oladipo Elera 1234 or Oladipo Elera 1996 as their password. So in order to strengthen your protection as a user, what you have to do is to use a very unique, strong, and complex password. And that's why you realize that when you want to sign up on apps recently, the combination features they ask from you always are a combination of capital letters, small letters, special characters, and figures. And this will strengthen your login details. And secondly, there's something called double factor authentication, otherwise known as 2FA. So I know every app and every social media, whether it's banking app or social media or fintech app, they have that feature. So as a user, you must make sure you activate that double factor authentication on every website and every app that creates that provides that features. So the essence of this app is the essence of this feature is to create an added level of security to your password. So that is, when your password is compromised, the malicious actor still needs a code that will be sent directly to your phone to be able to access your account. And that's why you realize there are some scammers who will call you on phone that they would like you that they are from a bank, that they are trying to help you update your account or do something on your account, and there's a code, a 4-digit code that was sent to you that you should send it back to them. So the beauty of that double factor authentication is that even when your password has been compromised, it still gives you some relief and some opportunity to still retain the integrity of your account. And apart from that, and in reference to what you said when you even asked that question, Nigerians really have to restrain the amount of information they're sharing online. We're in an era where people are oversharing information online. You have to restrain the amount of information you share online. When you post pictures, you must make sure that it's not reflecting your personal address, not reflecting your business address necessarily, and that the information you post online must be in context of a controlled public. So I personally, I cannot upload a picture on Twitter which would have my residential address. I'm reflecting my residential address or business address, and that is protect myself. I realize some people when there's giveaway on Twitter, I realize that some people send their account details on social media, on Twitter, on WhatsApp or Facebook. That is also another veritable tool for hacking. It makes you accessible to be hacked. So in order to prevent that, you must make sure that you prevent unnecessary oversharing of information online. And lastly, you must be aware of phishing emails. So phishing emails are like malicious information from malicious actors like hacker. So what they usually do is they try to impersonate trusted entities like banks, like your bank, your employer. So what they usually try to do is that they request for sensitive information from you in order to be able to access your login details, probably to your social media app or maybe your banking app. So you must ensure that you pay attention to every request you get online. You must make sure that you verify every message that you get online. So that is that for individuals. Now coming to companies, which is even the most important, because businesses are like the primary custodian of information. So the first line of defense, the first protective measure you must put in place as a company is what they call a data protection compliance audit. So this audit is mandated by the Nigeria Data Protection Act. So it's very similar to a financial audit where a financial audit assesses the financial health of a company. But in this context, a data protection compliance audit assesses your level of compliance with the prescription of the Nigeria Data Protection Act. So it assesses whether you are in compliance with the dictates of the Nigeria Data Protection Act. So if there are any failings in your data processing activities, an auditor will be able to identify that and also create and also recommend mitigating factors. So it is better for your vulnerability, for the vulnerabilities of your system to be discovered by an auditor than for it to be discovered by a malicious actor like cyber terrorist on one hand.
Wow. Okay, because I have a couple of questions I really want to ask Mr. Oladipupo, and I just wish that we can have him back, to talk about some of these issues. And one of those issues is that when he talked about the fact that you don't put your address on social media. For example, I have a product to sell. I have a, product to sell on social media, and I have to put my address on social media. Okay. Mr. Oladipupo, are you back now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that when you spoke about the fact that, you don't put your address on social media, for example, if I am, I sell things on social media and I don't have an outlet yet. So the outlet I have is my house that I use, to sell stuffs. It's either I tell you to come for delivery or you come for pickup. So in that case, what are the things that I need to do to guide against such things? Because I have to put my address on social media. That's the first one. Secondly, I think you shook a lot of tables this morning when you said some people will put 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put their date of birth and all of those things. Help us highlight, how best. I know that, organizations, these apps, they tell you to put strong passwords, but people still find it very difficult to put passwords all across the different social medias that they operate. How do we streamline all of these things to make sure that we protect our data?
So starting from your second question, so for businesses to mitigate the potential adverse effect of these, joining from even the company I work for as a person, so the members of our IT, once you resume to the office, they always ensure that the password they create for you or that you would nominate to be created for you must be one that is very strong. Like I mentioned, it must be a combination of both capital letters, small letters, special characters, and figures, which makes it very difficult to break. It makes it very difficult to predict and to compromise. So, and the best advice I can always give is that you must always have different login details for different categories. I'm not saying different apps, for different categories of apps that you operate. For example, for sensitive applications like maybe your bank apps, your fintech apps, you must have a separate, or you must have a distinct login details for them. Then for your shopping apps, maybe your account on Jumia, your account on AliExpress, you can have a distinct login details for that. And the essence of this is that if one is compromised, it does not lead to the ripple effect of the hacker having access to the entirety of all your accounts. Because what happens is that when you have a singular login detail, maybe a singular username and a singular password across all your media, all your social media, fintech apps, that means once a malicious actor has access to your login details, the person has access to almost the entirety of your data line. So, and to mitigate this, businesses like, let's use a fintech app, for example, OP sends me regular security notices, activate your 2FA, messages like in no instance would any of our employees send you a message to request for your login details. So when you send those regular messages, when you update your technology features, it strengthens that trust in your services as a fintech operator. That's one. Then on the other hand, about the need of you having your business address publicized, for the sake of business. So I mentioned initially that the information you provide online must be controlled. So if I as a person, I am not doing any business that requires me to provide my business address online, I wouldn't. And if I would provide my business address online, it won't be for the sake of the fact that, okay, let's say as a lawyer now, I have a law firm, so I have to provide a business address for my customers my clients to come to me for my legal services. So that is controlled in nature because you're expecting clients, it's not your residential address. So where it becomes a problem is when you are displaying your residential address for people who shouldn't see it. But for business address, I know the level of security may not be, the needed level of security may not be that as a residential address. But residential address is much more prone to attack. You don't want people to know where you're living. But a business address will always most likely be in a public environment, whether it's in a shared apartment. I mean, it's always be in a public environment. Right. But your residential address is very vital to your personal security. So you must limit the number of people that have access to this information.
Okay, so Mr. Ladipo, just before we round up this segment, for the sake of our viewers, what are the data protection rights that we need to know? In just 5 seconds, if you can help me do that.
All right, so there are a couple of data protection rights you need to know. The first is right to be informed. That is, before you process my information as a business, let's say fintech app like OK, you need to inform me of the information you'll be collecting, the purpose of the collection of the information, and how you'll be handling my information. And that is usually done through the privacy policy. You would notice when you want to log into whether it's a social media or whether it's a banking app, there's a privacy policy. They will always have you read and click a consent button before you go on with the sign up of the app. So that feature is like a guarantee of the right to be informed. They inform you of the reason why they want to collect this information, the purpose for the collection, and how it should be handled. That's one. And second right that you should know is your right to access. So you have the right to request for a personal information being processed on you by any data controller. For example, I can write to my bank today to request for every information they have on me. I can write to my employer tomorrow to decide that, okay, I want to have every information, a detailed list of every personal information you have on me, whether it's even my appraisal, financial details, or personal, other categories of personal information. Right. Then you also have the right to rectification. That's it.
All right, Mr. Ladipo, I wish we can just continue this conversation. I know, but I will surely definitely bring you back so that we can have a robust conversation on how to protect our data. Thank you very much, Mr. Ladipo. Thank you for joining us on the show. All right, thank you. We'll go on a break. When we come back, it will be headlines. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.